Let's hit it.
What's
Hey,
up, Tony? How you doing, man?
how you doing there, sir? Good to see
Man,
you. Another week. We're gonna come up with another good video this week. Thank y'all for subscribing. Thank y'all for going to our page. Thank y'all for looking. We're almost at 60,000 views now. We need to get 2,000 viewers this week to get to 60,000. That'd be a good milestone for us.
yes, sir.
We started off with 1,000 a couple years ago, and now we all the way up to 60,000. It's slow, but it's steady, and we'll take that. Slow and steady, we'll take that. We said at the beginning, we're not here for the clicks and the likes and all that other stuff. We want to put out good information and hope it helps some people and everything.
That's right.
Help our community in general, and brothers in particular.
Yeah.
This too, though. Okay, let's get started with it. We're gonna talk about something that's near and dear to all of us. It should be anyway, especially with a midterm election year coming up. Uh, Ballot box, the battle at the ballot box. Seem like we're always battling at the ballot box. You say it fast; it's hard. So it seems like we're always fighting at the ballot box, trying to get our rights through and everything. So once again, thanks for joining Gents Making Sense, the space when Black men breathe, break things down, and build each other up. Today, we're talking about something that is deeper than politics, something that's about power, dignity, and the right to shape the world our kids will grow up in. We're talking about voting rights, very important. Why they matter, why they're under pressure, again, and what it means for a Black man
Yep.
trying to move through a world that keeps shifting the goalposts. Go ahead with it, Suleiman.
Yes, sir. So before we get into it, let me set the tone. Our grandmothers marched so we could stand. Our grandfathers bled so we could choose. And now in 2026, the ballot still feels like a battlefield. Not because we're unprepared, but because the ground keeps moving beneath our feet, which is standard practice for certain people in this country. We're just moving the goalposts every time we find something steady.
Yeah, if you can't win, cheat.
Right. Yep.
There you go. Yeah, that's it. So the rate of constant change, that's what you were talking about. I think that's going to be important. It seems like, well, first and foremost, I don't know how many of y'all knew, but the Voting Right Act was something that had to be voted on every 2 years, I believe. It was every 2 or every 4 years.
Right.
It had to be voted on. It was never permanent. Now,
Right.
mind you, all these other bills and laws and everything, when they're voted on, they're permanent. I don't know too many other, you might know, but I don't know too many others that had to be voted on every 2 to 4 years to stay intact and everything. So let's start with the truth. Voting in this country has never been simple for us. That's what I just got through saying. Every few years, the rules change. New ID requirements, fewer early voting dates, polling places, chasing in closing in black neighborhoods, voter rolls getting purged. And what that does is create a feeling that we're always one mistake away from being pushed out of the process. It's not just inconvenience, it's psychological too. It's the message. You don't belong here unless you jump through these hoops. And as a Black man, we know the message very well. Let's talk about it. Just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, but not surprising. I mean, as I've always said, man, I mean, the other side, they can't win based on policy because their policies are bad for the country. I mean, just look at today and where we are as a country. I mean, we're attacking people who haven't attacked us. The stock market is crashing. Oil prices, gas prices are skyrocketing. Getting food in grocery stores is skyrocketing. And for what? So that we can appease this one man, this one crazy man, in his desire, to kill people. And it makes no sense. There's only one country enemy of ours that has the ability to hit us with long range missiles, and that's Russia. So, I mean, if we're really trying to protect the United States, why are we going to war with Russia?
Yeah,
You
it
know, why,
would make
why
a
are we
little
going
sense.
around the world and picking on, countries that don't have the ability to hit us with anything? They haven't threatened us. Iran hasn't threatened the United States with war. We're the ones that we're the aggressor. Us and Israel. We're the aggressors against this country.
Yeah, yeah, that's a fact. And in the midst of all this you just talked about, which is very important, they're trying to vote on this law to change the bill to
Yep.
vote.
Yep.
It call it, what is it, Saving America or
Yeah, some garbage name, to keep people not focused. But
yeah, yeah, Saving America, some crazy stuff. They're voting on that, and they're trying to trick you. They're saying that Democrats are not for voter ID, which is a lie, but they're trying to trick you. Uh, what they're talking about is above and beyond the IDs that we already have. In my humble opinion, once you register to vote and you make get all the criteria, you meet all the criterias for registering to vote,
Mhm.
a simple driver's license should work because you already provided the information you need to provide to vote. That's what it seems like to me. If you register to vote and your name is on the rolls, all you need is a simple ID.
Yep.
Make it so easy. But no, what they want you to have is not only your ID, they want you to have a birth certificate and or a, passport. How many Americans you know that's not military that have passport?
Right.
Not many. I know
Yep.
I don't know that many. And I got some well-to-do friends, and they don't have passport. You know? Why? Because they don't never leave America pretty much, and when they do go somewhere, they go somewhere like Puerto Rico or the Bahamas or somewhere like that where you don't require a passport, you know? So, this is the I call it the rope-a-dope that they try on us and everything. They just try to make it seem like Black people and Democratic Party are not for IDs to vote, and they look at you real like you really crazy and say, you're not for IDs? You're not for IDs? Wait a minute, wait a minute. You think anybody should vote? And they go with that little line up and make you look stupid and try to make you look stupid anyway. But, yeah,
Well, I
that's
mean,
that's
if we're going to request IDs for everything, then let's do it. Let's do the whole cart and barrel, which is you want to go to the movie theater, you need to show ID. You want to go to Walmart, you need to show ID. I mean, if we're going to do that and we're going to make people carry ID, there's nothing in the United States if you're not driving a vehicle that requires that you carry identification. Nothing. You don't have to have ID.
no,
There's nothing
no.
in the United States that requires that you have identification. So my point is, if it's not a requirement for you to walk around in this country, then why do you have to purchase identification to vote, which is your right as a citizen in this country to vote?
Yeah, I'm serious. It's a right. It's a right, and they
Uh,
just don't seem to understand it. Well, they understand it. They just wanna make something of it, and that's it. Can you talk to us a little bit? I mean, if you're done, can you talk to us a little bit about the historical part of it, and how it echoes, to
sure.
what we're doing today and
Yeah.
everything?
I mean, for African Americans, and for our fathers, it's they the stuff that they had to go through in order to be able to vote in this country was ridiculous, and that's what some people in this country are trying to get us back to. When you look at history, you see a pattern: old taxes, literacy tests, things like a jar of jelly beans, and you are supposed to be able to look at a jar of jelly beans and determine how many are in it. And if you couldn't vote. Grandfather causes. Like if your grandfather was able to vote, then you can vote. Well, I mean, of course, that kept a lot of our people out because most of our grandfathers, our fathers' grandfathers, didn't have the right to vote. Intimidation at the polls, the Ku Klux Klan, police officers arresting people or threatening to arrest people if they show up at the polls, or those type of things. These are things that happen all through that time. And I want to reiterate, like I always do, is that this wasn't 10,000 years ago. This was 60 years ago, our lifetimes, when this was um, when this was happening. We're talking the 50s and the 60s. We're not talking the, 1890s or 1870s. No, we're talking the 1950s and 1960s when a lot of your grandparents were living. And now in modern times, it's more subtle, but the impact is still the same. Civil rights groups have been raising alarms about how certain rules disproportionately affect Black communities, not because people are uninformed, but because the system keeps shifting. It's like the past whispering through the present. It's just, it's just a struggle all the time. And as I said, it's mainly because Republicans don't have a plan. They don't have policy. They don't have a plan. So they cheat. And that's what you get every time when it comes to Republicans,
We
modern
as Yeah,
Republicans. Modern day.
exactly. We as brothers and as a people, we have to stay vigilant, and we got to just if they change the rule, we gonna not only meet that standard, but we're gonna try to go above and beyond that standard and
Right.
everything. That's what we need to try to do. Looking forward and everything, what does this mean to Black men in general? Well, first and foremost, before I get into this, first and foremost, after every election, the big thing that everybody wanna look at is what did Black men do in the voting thing? 'Cause we're perceived as the one that vote the least. Black women carry vote, other people carry vote. They wanna see what the Black man does. We caught a lot of hell from the last vote presidential vote where I think the statistic says 21% of Black men voted for Donald Trump. I thought that was astronomical. I thought it was crazy. But once I started looking at all the figures, facts and figures, it seems that it was in that percentage that we voted that way. So the thing is it's still emotional for most of us. For the ones that like you and I, working class people, I would go so far as say is that the 25% of the men that voted for Donald Trump were either super rich or rich, or very poor and didn't know that they were voting against their self-interest and stuff. That's what I would go so far as say, and that's me. That is not a poll. That's just me talking.
Yeah, I mean, I would only push back on that a little bit. Says that it's not Black men's responsibility to save this country. I mean, Hispanic men voted for the majority of Donald Trump as well. So did Arab men.
Mhm.
And so, but it's always what do Black people vote? When
Right,
there's
right.
other people out here who benefit from all of our protesting and all the rules and laws that we got passed, but then when they go to the booth, they vote against our own economic interests. So we need to start putting the same blame on them. Hispanic men, Arab men,
Yeah, but they got
Asian
it,
men,
yeah.
all of them,
Mhm.
they're out voting Republican too. But yet it always gets put on us as if we should have to carry the water for all them. And I say no. I don't particularly care for Donald Trump, but I say Black people vote for who you want to vote for.
Right,
Because
exactly.
none of these
Yeah.
other
We
races out here.
we just want you to vote, period. That's what we always say on this channel is, "We just want you to go out and vote."
Yeah, and then again, I mean, I'll say this is that you know, looking at the Democratic Party. I mean, I'm not going to vote Republican, but looking at the Democratic Party, the Black folks are the ones that keep you guys above water. We're the ones that vote overwhelmingly for Democrats. But the first thing Democrats do, a lot of Democrats do, get into office, and all of a sudden they want to start writing rules for everybody else except for the people that got you in there. Just like last week when I was talking about Senator Fetterman and his how ridiculous he is.
Yeah.
You're not Senator Fetterman without the Black folks in Philadelphia. And the first thing you do when you go into office is all of a sudden you start siding with the Republicans. So I
Yep.
mean, yeah,
I just hope the Black people remember that when it comes time to vote again. They
yeah,
remember who he is and what he's doing to them and everything, and that he turned his back on these people.
yeah.
He was the one going out there with his sweatshirt on and everything, like, "I'm a regular folk, I'm here for you," and all this other stuff, and then when he get in office, he start acting like he done lost his mind or something, you know? I know he had a stroke or whatever, but you unless the stroke put something else in your head or something, you don't lose all your faculties and start voting crazy, thinking
Well,
Donald
here's the
Trump.
thing, and this may be an unpopular opinion, but my
Mhm.
point is, look, if you're sick, if you are medically incapable of doing your job, then you should step down.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the bottom line. You should step down because you're not benefiting us by being up there and being, whether it's because of your stroke or whatever was wrong
Mhm.
with you, that you were acting the way you're acting. That doesn't benefit your constituents. So
Exactly.
step down, go home, let your wife take care of you, get better, and then maybe come back and run again.
They're not gonna do it. Look at McConnell. McConnell can't even stand up on his own now. Can't even stand up on his own, but he's in Senate making hundreds of thousands of dollars, got a budget. He's responsible for voting on policy, and he probably don't even know what he's voting on anymore. I would go so far as to say that his staff is working for him now, and he's just there.
Yep.
And they put him in front of a camera and he just stands there. It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. And we should be able to do something about that. So that weight is always on our shoulder. And you said it so eloquently. We're not the only one, but it always come down to us most of the time, especially at the ballot box. The eyes are always on us. We are always being scrutinized. Some men can handle that pressure. Some men can't handle that pressure. And so they act out and they do something different sometimes. And that's just part of what we do
Right.
as a black man. It's part of the things that we put up with. And I would go so far as to say, if you, as a black man, if you take your civic responsibility and your right of voting seriously, you'll feel the power that it gives you just from that one vote, and you go out there and tell some of your friends to vote and everything. You will feel the power from that vote and everything. You might sometimes it might feel like you're not getting anything done and we're not getting anywhere, but we are. Your vote do count. I will go so far as to show you an example here in Georgia. In Georgia, we had the runoff, well, not the runoff. We had the special election for to replace Margaret Taylor Greene. Her district is all white almost. It's mostly rural. You got some of Cobb County in there, and Cobb County is a big district. So they had 20 Republicans. This is no joke. Excuse me, they had 20 Republicans and 1 Democrat. The 1 Democrat was a black guy, brother, brigadier general. I can't think of his name right now. I'll get it before the end of the show. I was able to talk to him once or twice. He came here, visit us and everything, and talked to us and told us why he thought he can win. Because the question we had was, why do you think you can win in that district? Because he lost to Margaret Taylor Greene a year
Right.
ago
Yeah. Hmm.
by a whole lot. And,
Hmm.
so we were asking him, "Why do you think you can win this time?" He said, "Because the tide is changing." He feels the tide is changing. They tired of Margaret Taylor Greene, going up there and getting all this money for herself, for her personal self, and working for Donald Trump and not working for our people. So he feels like that if you get another Republican, especially one that Donald Trump like, you just gonna get more of Margaret Taylor Greene. And he don't think the people there like it. He's a very likable man. I think he can do well. He won last night. He won that special election, but he didn't get over 50% of the votes. Him and Donald Trump's, personal pick, Fuller, they will have a runoff, next month, first week in next month. First Tuesday in next month, they will have a runoff. And, I don't know. He got a good chance of winning. He won last night 34-32, I believe that was the count. Yeah, 34% to 32 percent. Uh, he's likable. He's from that area. He's a cattle farmer, and like I said, he's a brigadier general Marine, no less. You
Hmm.
don't see too many brigadier general Marines around and everything.
Sure.
So, and he's just got democratic values. He don't. He's. I would liken him to Colin Powell. He's fiscally conservative, and he's more liberal on other policies and stuff. So that's some of the things that we got to look at there. Now we can't physically go in there and vote for him. So what we agreed to do is do some of his groundwork for him and everything. Go in there and help bring out the vote that he needs and everything. So that goes to show you that if we put our minds together, brothers can do almost anything and everything. So the question is, why do we still fight, Mr. Suleiman?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's not about the candidates. I mean, it really isn't. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, most of these politicians are bought and sold, and it's not really about the candidates. It is about policy, and it is about laws and bills that whatever candidate we put in there thinks about. You know, it's about consequences. You know, every bill and law that we pass has a consequence on somebody. You know, a lot of these people in Congress, they make these bills and they write these laws because they're angry at a particular people. But the reality is that it affects everybody across the country. You know, when you take SNAP away, SNAP doesn't just affect poor people in Chicago. It affects the majority of the poor people in southern states, West Virginia, western states like Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas. They're the ones that are on the SNAP program more than the Midwestern cities. But when you get the news, it just constantly puts out, oh, it's the metropolitan area, DC and
Yep.
Angeles in New York City, as opposed to talking about who's really hurting, which is West Virginia, Appalachia, Tennessee, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, those type of states. School funding. We know who the bottom two educational states are in the country. Every year they just flip flop Louisiana, Mississippi, and Arkansas. Worst educational system in the union, right? Healthcare access. Again, those three states just flip back and forth between 48, 49, and 50. Criminal justice policies. That doesn't just affect minorities, that affects white people. They go to jail as well. So when you don't correct the criminal justice system and you allow it to the weight of the criminal justice system to fall onto certain people, it doesn't help the country. Economic opportunity. We're going through that right now. People can't buy groceries. You know, people can't buy fuel for their cars. If they can't get to work, they don't have gas in their cars, they can't get to work. If you can't work, you can't make money. If you don't make money, you start to lose your homes, you start to lose your vehicles, you start to lose your lifestyle. Community safety. We all know every study we've done for the last 100 years, criminal activity is not done because of the person. It's done because of the circumstances. People steal because they need food. People steal because they need money. People rob because they need to take care of their families. All of it connects. So these are the things that hit our families every single day. These are things that determine whether our sons feel safe walking home, whether our daughters have resources in their schools, and whether elders can get care they deserve. So when voting rights are squeezed, these feel it first and the hardest.
And I don't think people understand that. They be like, "It doesn't matter if
Mhm.
I vote or not because I can't change nothing." You can. It really does. And they don't understand, and we fall for the as Americans, we fall for the okie doke about it's the inner city that's bad, the inner city that's using all the funds and stuff. Well, it's those cities that pay most of the taxes and stuff.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
because you don't pay no taxes down south like you pay up north and everything. So, anyway, I think that was a good segue to where we're going to now. How do we protect our voices? It matters because of all the things that you brought, all the good points that you brought up. But now we got to figure out how to protect our voices and not let them take it away with these stupid bills. You got to understand that if we don't take the House in this midterm election, or we don't get rid of Donald Trump in the next presidential election, all the things that you see them doing now will be continued and get worse.
Mhm.
We have to stop it in its track right now if we don't want to lose a generation of gangs in America. We will lose a whole generation of gangs in America if we can't stop this tide in the midterms and get the Republicans out of the White House in the next presidential election.
Yeah.
That's important.
Mm.
And that should be our ground game right now. That's what we should be thinking about. All these bills and all this craziness that you just got through talking about will continue. So we got to protect our voices, our vote by staying informed. Number one. Number two, check your registration. Don't go to the poll and be surprised. Number three, we help our elders navigate the new rules and everything. Number 4, we talk to our kids about why this matters. Number 5, we build community around civic. So we talk to people and let them know why it matters. That same thing that you just got through talking about. This is why this matters. And so we have to do those five things to protect our voices and everything. We can sit here and argue about whether the rules are fair or not, but we still got to do something. We
Yep.
got to go register.
Yep.
We still got to go register and everything. So that's the biggest thing I have to say about that is we have got to stay on our P's and Q's. And this is why we present what we present tonight and everything. Protecting the ballot and everything.
Yeah,
Go
and I
ahead.
and I will say that, and we gotta be more aggressive, man. I mean, I like what I live in Virginia, and what Virginia is doing right now is because we elected, Governor Spanberger. I mean, we are voting right now in the Commonwealth of Virginia on redistricting. So we're going to redistrict the state and make it more fair to the population. I mean, I lived in Northern Virginia for the majority of my life, and I gotta admit, I'm so tired of living. When you get these Republican governors that go down to Richmond and want to make us in Northern Virginia that pays the majority of taxes in this state live our lives based upon what people in Southern Virginia the way they live their lives. I don't care
Exactly.
what you do in Southern Virginia. You can live your life the way you want down there, but don't try to push you the way you live on how we live in Northern Virginia when we pay the majority of the taxes. But
That,
that's what happens. So we need to redistrict. And I hope that Westmore, Governor Moore in Maryland does it as well, is redistrict that state based upon the population.
yeah. That's why
Nobody
you
go ahead.
No, I'm just adding on to what you said. That's why you have those districts like that, so that your representative in your district is not trying to make you live like the representative down in Southern Virginia.
Yeah.
Uh, and Atlanta has that problem because Georgia, the saying is always it's Atlanta and everything else,
Yep.
and that's it.
We got the same
Yeah,
thing up here. It's Northern Virginia and the rest of Virginia.
yeah, exactly.
The reason I'm bringing the point up is because Texas and a lot of those southern states have decided they're going to redistrict, right? And basically, what they're doing is they're going to make us live our lives in the more liberal cities. I chose to live in a liberal place because that's where I want to live.
Mhm.
The more that they get in Congress, they can change the laws to force you to live the way they want you to live.
Exactly.
I don't care about Texas. Texas go live any way they want. They take all their big ass cars and everything big in Texas, and you can live that fantasy down there in that hot ass state. But I
Yeah.
don't want to live like people in Texas. I want to live the way I live here in Northern Virginia. So I want to elect the people in this state that can ensure that I can maintain my lifestyle the way I want. People in
And
Southern Virginia, go live the way you want to live.
yeah, and the other difference between Democratic states and Republican states is Republican states are just doing it and then going to court, being sued and everything else. But they're just doing it. In the Democratic states, you'll see that they're taking it to the ballot box. And overwhelmingly, all the voters are voting on it. And overwhelmingly, it's being approved and everything.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's the biggest difference there. I think we went over some great stuff today. I think we covered a lot of it, why it's important and everything, why we stay informed, why we inform people, and why we take care of our elders, and why we teach our younger kids and black brothers and sisters the civic lesson that
Hmm.
we're not too far removed, like you said, from
Right.
not being able to vote. I don't
Right.
think they understand that.
Right.
It kinda goes over their head.
Yep.
Take us on out tonight, Suleiman.
Yeah. So um let me leave with this. The ballot is not just a piece of paper. It's a mirror. It reflects who we are as a people, as a country, um, what we survived, and what we're still fighting for. Our ancestors didn't fight for perfection, they fought for possibility. And it's on us to protect the possibility, not just for ourselves, but for the generations watching us. So recognize the moment, people. You have a right to go and vote and put your name down and pull a lever or fill in a circle for a particular candidate that you think is going to represent you. Don't let them take that away from you. And this election coming up is very important.
Yeah. On another note, what you got for me today?
I mentioned it earlier, and then it's really quick. That Americans need to open up our mind. This president, everything that he said he was going to do when he ran against, he's failed. He said, "I'm going to come in. I'm going to stop the Ukrainian-Russian war." The Ukrainian-Russian war is still going. I'm going to go in and ensure that our allies are closer to us and that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Well, they're not. I mean, one of our major allies basically told us to pack sand when it came to bombing Iran. They said, "You're not going to launch from our area." That would have never happened in Biden's administration. That would have never happened in Obama's administration or Clinton's administration. And in a lot of cases, even Bush's administration. Our allies wouldn't have turned their back on us, but they are now because of this president and his incompetence. Um, Gas prices are high. He said gas prices are going to be lower. Food prices are high. He said the food prices are going to be lower. The stock market is crashing. He said the stock market was going to be up. So what has he accomplished that he said he was going to accomplish other than sending his Proud Boy ICE agents around to beat up on innocent civilians? That's it.
Exactly. Yep.
So I'll end it with
Yeah,
that.
well, thanks a lot for that one. On my another note, I just want to talk a little bit about Donald Trump. I'm just tired of him and his news conference. Can we just take him off TV for one day? He says the same thing over and over every day. Now, we complain about Biden not doing news conferences and stuff. He does too many of them. And he say the same thing every day. I don't know why the channels keep going to it. They interrupt the regular schedule things because they want to hear this stuff. And he says the same thing. He said something so stupid the other day where he said he was trying to give credit to our military about their sacrifices, how some died. He said that they died and they were walking around with no legs and no arms. How can you die and then walk around with no legs or no arms? It would be funny if it wasn't so seriously stupid. You know what I'm saying? And 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 and, and on on that same note, you got Secretary Hegseth at the Secretary of Defense not letting press into the Pentagon. And now he's taking away photographers from the Pentagon, talking about because they taking bad pictures of him. Who cares? There's a war going on. People are dying. Who cares what you look like?
Yeah.
It's crazy. And lastly, a lot of his main cabinet members are moving on military bases now because they're afraid for their lives.
Well,
They're afraid that the Mexican cartel is gonna come after them, and they're afraid of a host of other people gonna come after them. So they're moving on military base. How punk can you be?
hey, but right? Well, but we're winning the war, right?
Yeah,
That's what
exactly.
he gets on TV and tells everybody.
Exactly.
We're not gonna have drugs coming our country, but yeah, you're moving on to a military base because you're worried about the cartel. While the
Man,
rest of the Americans who have to live here, who have to worry about them, get no protection.
exactly. It's so stupid, man. We're gonna take it on tonight. We're gonna just say it's another
Powered by
day, another
Riverside.
50 cent. We don't get a dollar no more.
All good,
Okay,
man.
man. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. See you next week, okay?